Just as hundreds of thousands of tourists are leaving the valley tonight, thousands more are going to be coming into CES, and in a wave we have not seen in years, coming from around the world in droves. The convention is taking COVID precautions as cases in China have surged since all COVID restrictions were lifted there. The CDC says all international travelers from China, Hong Kong, and Macau, they must have a test, and CES will test them too. How will that affect us here in the valley? So right now our case is lower to medium transmission. It has remained there for some time, and COVID measures, doctors say, could prevent CES from becoming a super spreader. On the day CES starts, January 5th, all international attendees coming to the U.S. from China, Macau, and Hong Kong must be tested before they fly. CES also requiring those same travelers to get a COVID test before they pick up their badge, telling Fox 5 on Monday additional measures, reminding all attendees of current federal guidelines that every foreign national flying into the U.S. must still have proof of a vaccine. Also encouraging masking, on-site testing, and a flu shot. The policy is bringing a wide range of criticisms from locals and CES fans on Twitter. Why bother testing? They're fine. Should be testing everyone. Discrimination. The CDC says the policy comes as China, the only country to rely on draconian lockdowns and zero COVID measures for more than 2 years, has now seen high surges of Omicron offshoots among people who never had COVID, and has seen on a plane headed to Italy plenty of passengers sick on flights.
This is not targeting any race or ethnicity. You have a large portion of the population that is not immune either from infection or from vaccination. And so it's really a recipe for disaster. It's a potential hotbed for new infections and also the development of new variants. Anytime you are around a large group of people, you're taking a risk.
Dr. Christina Madison, the public health pharmacist, associate professor of Roseman University of Health Sciences, reminding people CES was scrutinized back in 2020 for the possibility some attendees had COVID. So in 2023, what's your risk now? Dr. Madison says if you're vaccinated, boosted, and wear a well-fitted mask in crowds.
In general, our risk of getting COVID is lower right now. However, we're right after the holidays. People have been traveling. So again, having those ability to do those public health measures, washing your hands, washing down surfaces, making sure that you're vaccinated, those are just extra precautions.
And with other viruses like the flu and RSV circulating, Dr. Madison advises stay home from CES if you're sick, get tested after attending CES, and if you happen to be an international traveler, public providers like the Health District can get you a vaccine booster.